In this video, I'm going to take us back to that stripy sweater that I made a while back and wasn't really pleased with, especially the wrists. They were too tight, and so I'm going to look back at that and re-knit those wrists. Now this sweater was made with lots of different yarns that I had spun over a long period of time. All right, let's look at it. This sweater, I know some of you have said how much you liked it, but it has been a frustration to me because of the sleeves. Let me just have the sleeve. You can see it's obvious where I did this tight reduction going down toward the cuff, which is just awful. And I've looked at, again, I got this idea from Kate Jackson, this top-down knitting that's easier, and I'm looking at, I think it's the green cardigan that she made. And I was looking at the sleeves on that cardigan on an old video of hers, and they don't taper at all, and they're nice and loose, that's exactly what I want. Why I did this, I don't know. So I may even do this today, I'm going to remove up to about here, somewhere in here, and then I'm just going to bring it straight down. Just give me another inch or something. I will actually wear this sweater if I didn't have this cuff. I don't like that tightness around there, especially in the winter when I have a long sleeve shirt on anyway. I don't like that double thickness tight around my hands. So that's what this might be used for, is if I need a little bit more yarn at the bottom, I'm going to use this. You can see, this is interesting. This sweater, I've worn it some. I haven't washed it or anything. But you can see, if you look carefully at the bottom, it's beginning to just gently felt. When I say felt, I don't mean it's going to shrink up, but it's getting this little halo of fiber around it, which I kind of like. That's the look you want on a nice wool sweater. So that's a little bitty project. I better take it off the hanger. I've had it hung up. I used to have it folded up in my studio, which was ridiculous. And I've been having it hung up on my studio door so I can look at it. But now I'm not going to wear it, obviously, for another 6 months or more. I'm very happy with how this sleeve is going. I've just taken out that decrease. Took it really all the way up to, there was only about an inch of this green. And I've been knitting and knitting, and I found the right needles, the smallest, shortest circular needles, in about a 10.5. And I wondered, by taking out that decrease and making the sleeve wider, how short it would be when I got down here. And you see, that's how much I took. This is the other sleeve that's still too skinny, and I took out probably 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches of yarn this way and put it into the sleeve crossways. So I will need some of this, and I think that'll look fine. It'll have some speckles of yellow in there, I bet, but that's okay. I think, I'm trying to remember if this yarn was chain plied or just double plied. I don't know, but I think it'll all work out okay. So we're almost to the end of the yarn of the crinkly yarn that I pulled out, and then we'll tag on some of this new that's so soft. All right. Well, I finished one sleeve. Now I'm reaching up, so the sleeves are pulling back a little bit. But I thought I would show you the sleeves before I launched into the second one. Here's the one I've done. This is how much room I have now. I know that looks like, wow, that's very gappy. Am I wild about the bright yellow, stripy? Not really. I really prefer these kind of colors in here, but that's okay. Ended up with a little cuff there, a couple of rows of seed stitch before I bound it off. But I wanted you to see what I'm talking about. Oh, this doesn't look bad. If it were not an over sweater, if this were like a shirt, I wouldn't mind it to fit like that. But it is supposed to go over other things, and it's snug all the way up here, which does bother me. This is more what I'm looking for, something I can easily get off. I can take this off without holding on to it. This one, in order to get it off, I have to hold this and pull my arm through. It's really rather snug around the opening too. So I'm glad I'm about to launch into this one. The yarn I'll be using for that will be this yarn, so it won't be quite so bright as this one, but I don't even mind the brightness. It's all right. So let's get going on that arm. Hey y'all, I wasn't going to show you any more about this ridiculous sleeve, but this is such an interesting stage to be at. I have pulled out, I found a wonderful use for this first little fabric bowl. Now just ignore the pins. I didn't want to bother to take them off, but it's a great place to put your little ball of knitting. It has enough of a bottom that it won't roll away on the floor. This one actually, I should have wound it up more. I didn't do that very well. Anyway, okay, so I pulled out this sleeve up to this point. This is about the right point. And there are all those live stitches just standing there. And that's a terrifying sight to most knitters. What happened to my needles? Oh, there they are. I had to hunt up, had to go look back on my own video from ages ago and find what needles I was using and all that rot. The fun thing about this yarn is, because it's wool and because it's been knitted up for a while and it's kind of not exactly felted, but the fibers have gripped onto each other, these stitches are not going anywhere. I can do this and they're just going to sit there. And I want to do what's called, I think, picking up the stitches, which is I want to get these stitches back on a needle. That one does look a little funny. Well, I don't know. I'll start with this one. So I'm going to, you want to load them on exactly the same way. And I'm going to be knitting from the outside. So I want the stitch to face that way and that way. I want the side of the stitch that's facing that direction to be on the outside. Okay? And it really, they don't pull out and misbehave. They're going to be so well behaved as I load them on these needles. So I'm not going to, this is hard to do in front of a camera while I'm watching it. Keep on not showing you what I'm doing, but I guess I could have put the camera in. Look at that, isn't that easy peasy? I'm very thankful that these are well-behaved stitches. Now, if I really yanked on it, I could pull one out of its spot and have to use a crochet hook to get it back to the level I wanted it to be. It would be easy for one of these stitches that's sitting up to slip through the loop that's below it, if you're not careful. And in most knitting, when you do this kind of thing, that's exactly what happens, and it's quite bad. But because it's wool, and because it's already been a bit felted, these stitches are standing up proud. Okay, well, probably edit out a good bit of that. That sounded rather boring. But I just wanted to see what I was doing. I'm fixing to do the second sleeve. All right, I got it all loaded on. This is the last stitch to go on. You can see I'm all the way back around to the first stitch I put on. And here is the live wire yarn sticking out there. And all I need to do is push this back in there, get my yarn around behind the work. And I'm good to go. And now I'm going to be knitting in the round, knitting in a tube. So I don't have to purl. I'm just going to knit. I'm going to keep on going. There is no end of a row. It's just one continuous knitting, which is a little frustrating. I found myself the other day when I was knitting the first sleeve thinking, oh, I'll go get a drink of water. And in my mind, I was thinking when I finish this row, or, oh, I'll go blow my nose when I finish, you know what I mean. And I just kept on going and going and realized, oh, there's no pause in this knitting. It just goes on till the end. Okay, so this shouldn't take me very long. Maybe I'll finish this evening. There's no increase or decrease, obviously, because that's what I'm trying to get rid of is the decrease. And when I get them exactly the same length, then I'll bind off and I'll have two nice big droopy sleeves, which is just what I want. I will confess, this is much later, probably even weeks later from the rest of this video, but I am finishing this up at last. I did finish my sleeves. Now, let me show you the two sleeves. You see the one that had the bright yellow? Not as fond of that, but the other one had the blue and some of that kind of cranberry, and it's very pretty and I think blends in better. But they're both fine. I think I did a little bit of seed stitch or something on the end, and so they're done. What this sweater did for me was help me learn a little bit about color and what kind of color I like and what kind of color I don't like and how to combine colors to get what I want. So I'm kind of going through a process of finding out what I want in a sweater and how to accomplish that when I am carding, making rollags, spinning, plying, and knitting, how to make the yarn that I want. And I hear other spinners talk about that, and it just made me tired to think about it. I was like, I don't want to work that hard. But if you don't work that hard, you're going to end up making a whole sweater that you're not really fond of. I think I was trying to use up all my homespun that I had so diligently made over the course of years, and I wanted to use it in one big project. So I made a sweater, but I'm not really into stripy sweaters, although I'll wear it. It'll be fine. It'll be around the house and probably around the farm sweater. But, and I may, you don't want to hear this, okay. I may still work on the neckline, which is too big. And I'm thinking, should I add some kind of a little collar or something? I hope all my projects aren't this way, taking forever to actually get them finished. So hopefully the next sweater I do, which will be a pullover jumper with a V-neck, I'll stick to a pattern better and come out with a product at the end that's just what I want. Anyway, so the sleeves are done and I'm happy with them. Thanks so much. Bye.